Good morning and happy Monday. Welcome to your Monday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum here with some words of wisdom to get you thinking, maybe making some changes to what you do day to day so that overall your trajectory in life gets to be much more positive and pleasant. So we have a wonderful reading today. It is actually from a book rather than a card deck. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. It looks like we have 5 here already, but Carolyn's name is the only one that's rolling. So who wants to follow behind Carolyn? Where are you guys? 6. There, now Abigail pops up. Good morning, good morning. Glad you're here. And Beth, there's Beth. Welcome. Good to see you all here. Glad you're here on this fine Monday. Good morning, Janine. Welcome. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for the sunrise. It is still pitch black here. Pitch black, yes. Good morning. Glad everybody's here. This is awesome. So, as I was saying, good morning, Joniel. Rush through your shower. Oh, dear. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Must mean the words are working for you. Fabulous. Fabulous. This is good. So, welcome everybody. Glad you're here. Start this week off right. Yes, with some rainbows, some hearts, some sunshine, sunrises. I'm waiting for my little Christmas tree to pop up. Dusting of snow. All right, well, you can keep that, Beth. You can keep that. I actually just received my signs. I believe they're from Oil and Water Don't Mix about opposing line 5. So I have to go jam that in the ground yet this morning out front. Good morning, Cindy. Welcome, welcome. And so hopefully it's warm enough that the ground is amenable to receiving a sign for the winter. So got to raise awareness. You know, I've been talking about this for how long? And I asked my dad if it was okay if I put a sign in the yard. And he goes, "What's that about?" I've told him quite a few times already what it's about, but it's just not sticking in his head. I mean, he's almost 89, but hopefully it's going to stick in everybody else's head, because if that oil line busts, that it's going to stick to everything, including all the animals and our drinking water. So let's not go there, right? So our chapter for today is Out of Outrageous Openness by Tosha Silver, Letting the Divine Take the Lead, which, as I've said repeatedly, kind of became a little Bible for me as things were difficult in life. When my mom was dying, when I was moving, when everything was in upheaval, this became very handy. And what I do with it now, I mean, I've read it probably 4 or 5 times, but what I do with it now is I hold it in my hands and I just ask, what do we need to know today? And open to a page. And powerful reading today. It'll be a powerful reading. So let's just prepare ourselves for that. Some nice deep belly breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Letting your shoulders drop in through the nose, out through the mouth. And another one, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And if you find yourself getting lightheaded, good morning, Mel, glad you're here. What that means is during the course of your day, you're typically not breathing very deeply at all. So we need practice. We need practice. One of the things that I suggest to my clients that they do is set a timer on their phone, maybe every hour on the hour for a period of time. And when it goes off, that's your reminder to do 3 nice deep breaths. Making your abdomen rising and falling, chest barely moves at all, just filling up the bottom part of those lungs, okay? So that is one little thing you can do during the course of the day to really improve your health. Guess what's another one? Drinking some water. Well, believing too. Believing would be a good one too, but drinking some water. Far more water than you think you need to drink. That much. Don't wait till you're thirsty. You're around the bend by then, okay? So, our chapter for today, it's actually a new section of the book that's called Giving It All Up. And the little chapter itself, I love this title. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you are here. Welcome. We're up to 9 of you by now. So I'm thinking a couple of you slipped past without me saying hi. Hi. Glad you're all here. This chapter has a very provocative title. The Death Advisor. The Death Advisor. So let's see what it has to tell us. And actually, I always measure the value of a chapter by how many quotes she puts at the beginning of it. This one is a 2-quoter. So the first one is Mahatma Gandhi, who I just love all of that energy. When you make yourself into zero, your power becomes invincible. So what he means by that is stepping away from ego. Getting out of it has to be my way. Good morning, Cheryl. Welcome. Glad you are here. Good morning. Good morning. And flowing with reality, flowing with what is, etc. The second quote is Carlos Castaneda. Let death be your advisor. Let death be your advisor. So let's figure out what he's talking about there. We have 11 of us on here. So I'm thinking about this. 11 people hearing about this amazing story that Tosha's going to share, and then hopefully applying those principles to your Monday, and then to your Tuesday, and then to your Wednesday, and on we go. So here's the story. I once heard this story about a friend's sister. A 40-ish woman named Paula lived in Baltimore as a paralegal, busy with relationships, work, family, and typical stuff. She was not in the least spiritually inclined. Then came the shocker. Though she had never had more than a cold, Paula was suddenly diagnosed with a rapidly advancing rare form of lymphoma and given 3 months to live. I kind of hate when they do that. What page? 61. Page 61. I kind of hate when they do that, when they say, you have this long to live, because people live down to that, all right? It is a rare person who will say, forget that, I'm way beyond that, and they live 5 years, 10 years, whatever, beyond that diagnosis. Good morning, Peggy, glad you're here. I think it would be better to say, given the statistics, it looks like this, but you may be an outlier. So you decide, become conscious, decide right now, what is it that you want out of the remainder of your life? Yes, a self-fulfilling prophecy. What is it that you want out of the remainder of your life? Go make that happen. Go make that happen. Now. Now. So that's what we're talking about here. So here's the next part. Her world imploded. Practical by nature, she immediately threw her energy into organizing her affairs, handling her imminent departure like one more of the efficient to-do lists that she'd spent her life making. To her amazement, she was not afraid. Paula paid off her debts, released everything unnecessary, and prepared to die. This world became a diaphanous dream. She ceased having useless conversations. I liked that part. She ceased having useless conversations. She started telling everyone the truth. She stopped doing anything she didn't want, following her inner clock completely. As she realized this world would go on quite well without her, a peaceful detachment embraced her like a warm bath. Then a new twist. In the 3rd month, the cancer spontaneously left. To the doctor's confusion, all symptoms vanished as fast as they had come. But Paula's calm equanimity remained. Even more surprising, she had acquired the power to manifest and heal almost anything. If she thought of a certain amount of money, it came almost effortlessly. If she imagined an apple, a stranger pulled one from a bag. People with illnesses began to call for help. This talent came of its own volition, since Paula needed and wanted nothing, having already bid adieu to this world. With no grasping ego, most of her thoughts materialized in a flash. The same divinity she had once dismissed now flowed unimpeded through her being. Paula said, maybe when you no longer need anything, you can have everything. And when you stop trying to make things happen, anything can. All I know is the me that used to be is gone. I am out of the way. I am out of the way. So, what do you take from that chapter? Very provocative, right? It stirs all of our stuff, the culturally induced stuff about fear of death and dying. It kind of turns a whole lot of stuff on its head. The belief that we have to do things a certain way, and there's expectations of us that we have to meet. This is a whole different way of being. Actually, when I lived in Green Bay, one of the things that I so thought was interesting was there were a fair number of tribal members who would be referred for counseling, and they run on what everyone calls Indian time. So the clock doesn't matter. They have a general idea of when they're supposed to be there. They get there when they get there. And for me, that German background of, it's on the hour, we're already late kind of stuff, this was an opportunity for me to open up and learn a new way of being, etc. I still tend to be the 10 minutes early girl, but I can appreciate people who run by their own clock, who have an internal clock that's more important to them than the external clock. And again, think about that. If all of us went about our business doing things in the way that we're called to do them, not in the way we think we ought to, have to, must, should, blah, 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 how interesting the world would be, right? Well, Joe's supposed to be here. Joe's not here. Well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and do what I was going to do. Yes, read the book again. And every time I read it, obviously I'm in a different place. Different things will speak to me, right? So there's a part in the very beginning that I absolutely love. Let me see if I can find it. It's from the foreword, which is by, let me go back here. Christiane Northrup. But I loved this part right here because this says it all. This says it all. Tosha's advice that the perfect solution to any problem is already picked, you will be guided to it in the right way at the right time, has helped me and thousands of others metabolize more stress hormones than any medicine I've ever prescribed. You simply sit back, offer the challenge you're facing to the divine, and wait for the nudge. From a more expanded version of your own self, not some white-haired judgmental guy with a beard sitting on a cloud waiting to punish us. You're shown what steps to take. Again, it's about your own sovereignty. You've got everything you need to walk this life path eloquently. It's learning to trust that. And it's learning not to be, good morning, Deb, welcome, not to be inundated by the messages pounding us about how terrible, awful, horrible things are. We're going to hell in a handbasket, blah, blah, blah. It's about making good, soul-centered choices that serve you and serve others. That's what it's about. Let's not make it more complicated than it needs to be, right? Keep it simple. And yes, there's complication all around us. We don't have to buy into it. We don't have to buy into it. There was something, I'm trying to think of what it was, where someone said something very matter-of-factly, and, oh, I know, we were on a Zoom yesterday. I have this group of 3 wonderful young people that I met during the course of a Tony Robbins thing. We had been thrown into a breakout room together, and we loved each other so much. We've been meeting roughly once a month via Zoom. We're all over the United States. And supporting each other forward, sharing our wisdom. The two guys are very wise with regard to technology. The young woman is very wise with regard to real estate. We all have our thing that we bring to the table. But yesterday we were talking, and one of them said something, and all 3 of us instantly called that person on it. Wait a minute, do you want to run that past me again? And the drill was that this person had heard this so much, it was part of the common lore, had bought in without really looking at, do I really believe this? Or is this another one of those things where they're blowing sunshine up my skirt, right? So in challenging it, and then he said after the fact, thank you so much for calling me out on that. I don't want to have those kinds of beliefs influencing me on a subconscious level, and I never challenged them, and I didn't challenge it in the first place, right? So kind of the same thing, very much the same thing with death and dying. What do you believe about death and dying? How does that generate the fear that you have about death and dying? Her approach was practical, pragmatic. Okay, I'm leaving. I need to be prepared. I need to take care of my affairs, have everything in order. Yes. And we can view this as, okay, we're on our life's path. So I wrote down a journaling prompt that I'd love for some of you to do. I'm going to do it, which is, if you knew you had 1 year to live, what would you try? What would you take care of? What would you do? Who would you be? What would change if you knew you had 1 more year to walk this earth? Pretty provocative thought, isn't it? And when we think about it consciously, when we journal about it, when we write about it, it makes things more solid. We may come to an agreement with ourselves. If that's the case, and I don't know, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, right? If that's the case, how would I want to be living differently? One of the young woman on that call yesterday talked about the rocking chair test. And the rocking chair test is, if you're 80 years old and you're sitting in your rocker and you look back on some particular point in your life, a decision you're about to make, whatever, how are you going to look at it? From that 80-year-old perspective, looking back, how are you going to judge that choice you're about to make in the here and now? And I will guarantee you that one of the things that will happen is, if you're 80 years old and you're in your rocker and you're looking back at that thing and you can tell you made that choice out of fear, you're not going to be happy with yourself. So how do you feel the fear and do it anyway? How do you make that choice? I'm going to an event tonight at a venue I've not been to. That's not the most comfortable thing in the world, right? So I'm going to be sitting in my car driving over there going, don't think, just do it. Don't think, just do it. Don't think, just do it. Walk in, find someone to talk to, move on. If I allowed myself to think about it, I would talk myself out of going. And again, 80 years old from the rocker, I would look back at that decision and be disappointed in myself that I didn't suck it up and go in and probably have fun. So, for you, what's rattling around in your head? What are your thoughts about this? What is your reaction to the death advisor? What's your reaction to the death advisor? What are you maybe going to tackle that you wouldn't otherwise have tackled? What are you going to stop blowing off that you've been blowing off because you feel like you have all the time in the world? We don't know. We have no idea. So what can you make of today? What can you do with this fine Monday that we're all being handed? All 13 of you and me. What are we going to do with this fine Monday? Have an awesome day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.